Oh, I am not able to join the meeting, but I would like to show you how we came about the grant. So let me share my screen first. First of all, I need you to know that it was not an easy process. We had to go through, number one, we had to go through the grant seminar, and number two, we had to submit our memorandum of agreement. Now, if you go to Rotary District 7255 site, this one, and you log in, it will recognize you. There, it recognized me. What I did was in my page, I go to my page and I go to grants. So I click grants and then I go to my club grants. And it will bring you to 2023, 2024. Actually, you can go to the previous year. We had no grant request. The year before that, I did have a grant and it was called Woodside Queens Library Improvement and Telbang Elementary School. We had an estimated budget of 7,000 and that grant was approved for 3,500. If I click on Woodside Queens, you will see the story of that grant that we did. So it says status funded. Congratulations, blah, 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 which means that tapos na yung project, yung service project na yun. If you want to see the entire detail of that past project, you click project overview. It will tell you the story of that project, which doesn't happen by itself. You as a project manager, and in this case, it was me, you have to be the one to key in every aspect that it asks you to input. So you have general description, you have to describe what the project was, what is the community benefit and impact, is it sustainable, what is the implementation plan? So you have to put a timeline. So that's where you put it. And you have to tell them who else are involved in that project. You know, like there's an ocular inspection, library people, who else do we need to try and fund the project? Who are members who are involved? You'll see it there. And then it tells you the story also of where funding, where part of the funding came from. So I also had to put there, golf tournament, this one, oops, canceled. Next, golf tournament, this one, fundraiser event, sale of handicrafts, so on and so forth. Expected expenses has to be itemized. Expected income, which simply means that where do we get the money from? It's also there. And then who are the other partners? So we had Queens Woodside Library, Woodside on the Move. Back then, it was Steve and Quinn. Queens Borough West, that was us. Queens Long Island, the golf guys. The Rotary Club of Payambang in Pangasinan, who were our recipients of the grant, and so on. So that was 2023. Let's go back and move to 2023-24. And the grant that we asked for was Hope for an Art Contest. All right. And I filled this out again. And if you want to go and read the details, you go to Project Overview. Project Overview will tell you that we were applying for 5,100 as a grant, and that we expected at least 2,600 from the district for their counterpart funding for our project. And then general description, I told them about, I wrote down what the grant was for and what the project was in effect. Same thing, community assessment and impact. Is it sustainable? What is the implementation plan? What are the expected expenses? And I put it down here. All of this are based from the experience we had back in 2015. So that's just the overview of how you apply for a grant. I mean, it's not easy. There's a lot of typing, a lot of research, a lot of actual data that you have to input. And then it goes through a process where sometimes it says make adjustments right there, and you have to ready your application. If sometimes there are comments that say pending, needs more explanation, then you have to look for that part and answer their questions until ultimately you'll receive a status. And in this case, our grant was approved. Okay. So I will now open a set of slides that will explain the grant itself, the service project itself that we are going to do as a club. This is the email they sent us that shows that we have been approved for a grant worth $1,500, which means that the original budget of $5,000 we can now adjust to something like $2,500, where 1,500 comes from the district and 1,000 is ours to raise. The grant project itself is an art competition, and the theme is hope for whatever the kids want or hope to have, they express through art. And this is in keeping with the mental health theme of the year. So it involves a lot of preparations. If you have questions about these preparations, Lucille, I hope when she's there, can answer some of the questions. But the preparations are self-explanatory. So after the initial drafting of communications, we also now have to find out who to send them to. And then we continue to follow up all the time whether there will be participants from these schools. Of course, every project needs sponsors, and I was thinking that if we had the golf tournament magazine, then we could also use the sponsors from here, from this art competition, to be included in that magazine. And we also need to have a launch at least so that we make a lot of noise. We launch the art competition itself by inviting, I don't know, we can do this in a lot of different ways, and we can get creative with this. So if you have ideas, we will continue to think about them. After we launch, then obviously we collect all of the artwork. Again, we have to think about how the collection process will be, so that then we can begin also preparations for the exhibit, where to display the artwork, where the judges will go to view the artwork. And so I hope you do not think it is very complicated, because we had a lot of fun ultimately at that first art competition we did. And I'm thinking that because we've had that experience before, we might have a better way of handling this art competition, and we might actually make it a banner service project if that's something we can do. But here is also the team that I think can exert effort or be part of the project itself in segments of the timeline of the project. So hopefully sa next meeting, I will be around to better or provide more detail how we can handle this. Thank you very much.